Ferrari are running the most important filming day of their 2026 season. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are splitting 200 km of track time at Monza, behind closed doors, testing a package of upgrades that Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur has described in one extraordinary phrase. In Miami, a different championship will begin. That is the head of the most iconic team in motorsport, publicly declaring that everything you have seen over the opening 3 rounds of this season is about to become irrelevant. Let's start with where Ferrari actually stand right now. Ferrari are 45 points behind Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes have won every Grand Prix of the year so far. Charles Leclerc sits third in the Drivers' Championship. The SF26 has not been embarrassing, but it has been clearly the second best package behind the dominant Mercedes. Now, 45 points is a significant gap after only 3 races, but it is not an insurmountable one, especially not when the team with the deficit is the team that has spent most of the opening stretch deliberately holding back its development plan. This is where the story gets interesting. The 5-week break created by the cancellation of the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix due to the conflict in the Middle East has given Ferrari more wind tunnel time, more simulator time, and more preparation time than any normal intra-season break would have allowed. Vasseur himself has described the Miami package as a package and a half, not a typical race upgrade, but an accumulation of components that would normally have been spread across 2 or 3 Grand Prix weekends. Now, arriving as one single dramatic introduction. Today's filming day at Monza is the first real chance Ferrari have to see those components running on a track. The choice of Monza is not random. It is the hardest circuit on the calendar for energy management. The long straights and heavy braking zones make it the perfect environment to evaluate how the SF20XS power unit and hybrid systems perform under extreme load. And crucially, this filming day is the first time Ferrari will run the car under the updated energy management rules ratified by the FIA on Monday. No other team on the grid has that opportunity this early. This competitive advantage cannot be overstated. The upgrades themselves are substantial. The headline change is a revised floor originally planned for the cancelled Bahrain Grand Prix, designed to improve airflow beneath the car and increase stability through fast corners. There is a new front wing working in conjunction with the floor upgrade. There are weight reduction components addressing the overall car mass and performance envelope. There is a revised engine cover aimed at improving cooling efficiency. And then there is the Macarena, a rear wing that deserves its own paragraph. The Macarena rear wing deserves its own paragraph. The name came from Vasseur himself, who watched a prototype rotate its upper element through roughly 180 degrees during activation and thought it looked like the signature move from the 90s dance. The concept has been months in development, briefly appearing in free practice during the opening rounds. It did not make its competitive race debut because the FIA required adjustments to comply with the 4/10 opening and closing range in the regulations. Those adjustments have now been made, and Ferrari are testing the final specification today. If the wing works the way Ferrari engineers believe it will, it could significantly reduce the SF20XS drag on long straights while maintaining cornering downforce, directly targeting the team's biggest performance deficit against Mercedes. But the upgrades are only one half of the story. The other half is the FIA rule changes. On Monday, the FIA agreed unanimously on a package of technical changes that will take effect for Miami. Maximum energy harvest in qualifying has been reduced from 8 megajoules to 7. Peak supercharger power has been raised from 250 kilowatts to 350. And crucially, a loophole that Mercedes and Red Bull were exploiting in qualifying has been closed. That loophole alone was worth a measurable chunk of lap time, and Ferrari were not using it. Ferrari were actually the team that complained to the FIA about the Mercedes and Red Bull exploitation in the first place. The ban of that loophole directly benefits Ferrari more than any other team on the grid. That is Ferrari recovering competitive ground they did not have to earn back on track. This rule change carries profound implications for the season. By normalizing energy management practices across all teams, the FIA has effectively neutralized an advantage that Ferrari never developed in the first place. This is not a gain Ferrari earned through performance on track, it is a correction of an unfair advantage their competitors possessed. The timing is extraordinary. No other team gets to test under these new regulations before Miami arrives. Ferrari will have real data while their rivals only have simulations and theoretical models. Add the two halves together. Ferrari arrive at Miami with the biggest upgrade package of any team on the grid. Carrying 45 points of deficit to make up, facing a Mercedes that has just lost a key qualifying trick, on a calendar that is about to enter the traditional territory of European circuits where Ferrari have historically dominated. If there was ever a moment for the SF26 to become competitive with the Mercedes W07, it is the moment Ferrari have just walked into. Here is the technical context that matters most. The power unit gap is real. Mercedes are believed to hold approximately 20 to 30 horsepower over Ferrari's engine ***, a significant margin at tracks with long straights. Former Ferrari engineer Paolo Filicetti has publicly warned that closing a 30 horsepower gap mid-season is not that simple. Ferrari's most realistic path to beating Mercedes in 2026 is not through a raw power unit breakthrough, but through a combination of aerodynamic efficiency, improved energy management under the new rules, and the continued impact of the ADU system. ADU, or Additional Development and Upgrade Opportunities, is the regulatory mechanism that allows certain manufacturers to close power gaps under specific conditions. Ferrari are expected to be a direct beneficiary with a significant power unit upgrade reportedly planned for the European rounds later in the season. This creates a two-phase advantage: immediate gains from aerodynamics and energy management, followed by substantial power unit improvements when the season reaches Ferrari's traditional strongholds. Lewis Hamilton himself has been the team's public optimist. Speaking earlier in the season, Hamilton described the 2026 cars as the best form of racing he has experienced across his entire career. ***, he has disagreed publicly with critics of the new regulations. Leclerc, meanwhile, has been carrying the qualifying performance. The frustration for Leclerc has been specifically that the new regulations have dulled the one-lap spectacle he has built his reputation around. The FIA rule changes coming into force at Miami are tailored almost perfectly to bring the qualifying Leclerc we recognize back onto the front row. This creates a narrative alignment where both drivers have motivation to capitalize on these new opportunities. What are the actual chances of a Ferrari win at Miami? The honest answer is better than they have been all season, but still not the favorite. Mercedes are dominant. They have secured 2 victories from 3 races and a car that clearly works across every circuit type. Mercedes are also the team that could be most hurt by the rule changes. If all of Ferrari's upgrades deliver, and if the FIA rule changes narrow Mercedes's advantage by even a few tenths, the gap between the two cars becomes genuinely close. Not a Ferrari victory locked in, but a Ferrari versus Mercedes qualifying battle that was not a feature of the opening 3 races becomes suddenly possible. Ferrari's 2026 season now hinges on whether Vasseur's 3 months of development planning translates into on-track performance at Miami. If it does, the Constructors' Championship becomes a genuine 3-way fight. If it does not, Mercedes extend their dominance and the 45-point gap starts to look insurmountable. Vasseur's one line keeps echoing. In Miami, a different championship will begin. Either he is right and the data will prove it, or the chance Ferrari have spent a month planning for will slip through their fingers and nothing about the competitive order changes. The questions that matter are clear. Is Ferrari's Miami upgrade package combined with the new FIA rule changes enough to genuinely close the gap to Mercedes? Is Mercedes too dominant to catch this season? Will the Macarena rear wing finally make its competitive debut in Miami and deliver the drag reduction Ferrari desperately need on long straights? And can Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton take advantage of the new qualifying rules to bring Ferrari back to the front row of the grid? 1 week until we find out.